Have you ever found yourself trapped in a relentless mental loop, replaying a conversation from yesterday, dissecting every word? Or perhaps agonizing over a future event, running through countless what-if scenarios, each one more daunting than the last? That feeling of your brain spinning its wheels, going nowhere fast, yet unable to stop. If so, you're experiencing what countless others do, the pervasive habit we call overthinking. Welcome. Today we're going to embark on a journey to understand this mental labyrinth. We'll explore not just why we overthink, but more importantly, what we can do instead to find a path toward greater clarity and peace of mind. This isn't about blaming ourselves, but about understanding a common human tendency and equipping ourselves with practical tools to navigate it. Overthinking isn't a flaw, it's a habit, and like any habit, it can be understood and it can be changed. At its core, overthinking is a mental loop. It's when our minds endlessly analyze questions, moments, or scenarios without ever reaching a clear resolution. Think of it as chronic worry or rumination, where fears, what-ifs, and worst-case scenarios play on repeat. Now, it's important to distinguish this from productive problem-solving. Productive thought is focused, purposeful, and moves towards a solution. Overthinking, on the other hand, is often abstract, overgeneralized, and repetitive, leaving us feeling stuck, anxious, and emotionally drained. This mental habit is deeply intertwined with anxiety and stress. It often acts as a false control mechanism, a way our brains try to cope when we feel powerless or uncertain. In a world brimming with unknowns, our minds desperately try to predict and prepare, sometimes to an unhealthy degree. This constant analysis can activate the brain's stress response, raising cortisol levels and perpetuating the very anxiety we're trying to resolve. It's no wonder overthinking is frequently linked to anxiety disorders and depression. So, where does this habit come from? One primary driver is this attempt to gain a false sense of control. When faced with uncertainty, our minds try to think their way out of a situation, even when there's no immediate solution to be found. Clinical psychologist Adrienne Wells suggests that worrying and rumination are often learned strategies, habits we develop to cope with difficult thoughts and feelings. Imagine it. A situation makes us uncomfortable, and we learn that if we just think about it harder, perhaps we can resolve the discomfort, but often it just intensifies it. Sometimes the roots run even deeper. Past trauma can alter brain function, making the mind hypervigilant, constantly scanning for potential threats to avoid being blindsided again. This can manifest as relentless overthinking, a perpetual state of psychological preparation for the worst. Bone family systems theory also offers insights, suggesting that our emotional regulation responses, how we cope with stress and uncertainty, are often learned within our family dynamics, so the way we think and react can be a subtle echo of patterns established long ago. The impact of chronic overthinking on our well-being is significant and far-reaching. It leads to increased anxiety, that crippling feeling of being stuck, and often impaired sleep, as our minds refuse to shut down. It saps our creativity, drains our energy, and can lead to analysis paralysis, where we become so bogged down in thought that we can't take action. Furthermore, it often fuels heightened self-criticism, amplifying our inner judge, and can increase the risk for more serious issues like depression and disordered eating. It's clear that this isn't just a minor annoyance. It's a habit that can profoundly affect our quality of life. Transitioning to solutions.
The path to overcoming overthinking isn't about silencing your thoughts entirely, which is often an impossible and frustrating goal. Instead, it's about changing your relationship with your thoughts, developing new habits, and redirecting your mental energy. Let's start with mindfulness. This isn't about emptying your mind, but about bringing your attention to the present moment. When you find yourself caught in an overthinking spiral, try focusing on your breath, the sensations in your body, or the sounds around you. This simple act redirects your attention from the abstract what-ifs to the concrete what is, offering an immediate, albeit temporary, respite and a chance to reset. Next, we have thought challenging, a core technique from cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. This involves actively questioning your negative thoughts. Instead of blindly accepting them, ask, is this thought truly accurate? What evidence do I have to support it? Is there an alternative perspective I haven't considered? By seeking alternative viewpoints and identifying common thinking errors, like catastrophizing or mind reading, you can begin to dismantle the power these thoughts hold over you. A powerful complement to thought challenging is cognitive diffusion. Dr. Jacqueline Jason emphasizes this approach. It's about recognizing thoughts as just thoughts, mental events, not necessarily facts or commands. Instead of saying, I am a failure, you might say, I'm having the thought that I am a failure. This subtle shift creates distance, allowing you to observe your thoughts without getting entangled in them. They become clouds passing in the sky, rather than storms engulfing your entire being. Sometimes the best approach is simply distraction, but not just any distraction. We're talking about engaging in highly engrossing and positive activities. If you're spiraling, immerse yourself in a hobby you love, a challenging puzzle, a good book, or even a vigorous workout. The goal is to consciously shift your attention away from the unproductive thought loop and onto something constructive and enjoyable. This isn't avoidance in a negative sense, it's a strategic mental reset. Then there's acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT. This approach encourages non-judgmental observation of your thoughts and feelings, rather than fighting them. Instead of trying to push away an anxious thought, ACT suggests simply noticing it, acknowledging its presence, and then choosing to continue acting in line with your values, even with that thought present. It's about making space for difficult emotions, rather than letting them dictate your actions. Emotional awareness and grounding are also vital. Overthinking often disconnects us from our bodies and our immediate sensory experience. Reconnecting with your present feelings, observing where you feel tension, for example, and utilizing grounding techniques like the 5-4-3-2-1 method, naming 5 things you can see, 4 you can touch, etc., can bring you back into the present moment, anchoring you when your mind tries to drift into anxious hypotheticals. Perhaps one of the most effective antidotes to analysis paralysis is action and behavioral shifts. Physically disengaging from thought loops by getting up and doing something different, even something small, can be incredibly powerful. If you're stuck replaying a scenario, go for a walk, clean a room, or call a friend. This physical shift helps break the mental pattern. Remember, perfect is the enemy of good. Sometimes taking any action, even an imperfect one, is better than being paralyzed by overthinking.
A key strategy is identifying control. Many overthinking patterns revolve around things we cannot control. Take a moment to distinguish between what you can influence and what you cannot. Focus your energy and mental effort solely on the controllable factors. For the uncontrollable, practice acceptance and let go. This distinction is empowering and helps direct your mental resources effectively. When to seek professional help. Finally, it's important to know when to seek professional help. While these strategies are highly effective, if overthinking has become a chronic, debilitating pattern, significantly impacting your daily life, sleep, or relationships, or if it feels deeply rooted in past trauma, reaching out to a therapist or counselor is a wise and courageous step. They can provide tailored guidance, explore underlying issues, and help you develop more robust coping mechanisms. Specialists like Adrienne Wells, Dr. Susan Nolan-Hoeksema, and Dr. Edward Selby have dedicated their careers to understanding these processes, and their work informs the therapeutic interventions that can profoundly help. So, as we conclude our exploration, remember this. Overthinking is a deeply ingrained habit for many, but it is not a life sentence. It is a sign that your mind is working, perhaps just a little too hard, in ways that might not be serving you. The journey from overthinking to clearer, more purposeful thought begins with awareness. It begins with noticing when you're caught in the loop. From there, you have a choice. You can choose to challenge your thoughts, to defuse from them, to distract yourself, to accept what is, to ground yourself in the present, or to take action. Each time you employ one of these strategies, you are strengthening new neural pathways, building a new, healthier habit. This isn't about eliminating thought, but about cultivating a more balanced and productive relationship with your own mind. It's about recognizing the wisdom in knowing when to think deeply and when to simply let go. You have the power to gently guide your mind, to free yourself from the incessant hum of worry, and to create more space for peace, presence, and genuine engagement with your life. Take that first step and reclaim your mental freedom.